What is going on, guys? Craig 1287 here, bringing you my most anticipated games for 2015. 2014 was a pretty darn good year, and 2015 looks like it's got quite a lot to offer as well. That just, all sorts of genres, all sorts of different things. So let's get straight into it. Gonna start off first with just saying that Warframe is on my list. I know the game has been out in beta, air quotes. I mean, it's got more content than 90% of games out there right now, and it's still technically in beta on PC and even consoles. I've already put $300-$400 into the game, but it's still in beta, so I'm sure it'll be coming out of beta and officially going gold or whatever they are going to be calling it. For 2015, so looking forward to that. I'm going to put a bunch of indie games towards the end, and then I'm also going to have 3 that are, I'm not sure if they make the list or not. So, yeah, let's get straight into it with one that I'm not sure if this really classifies as an indie game or not, but No Man's Sky. It's being made by a pretty much an indie developer. But they're getting backed a lot by Sony and things like that, so it's pretty tough to say for sure. But also, what they're working on is definitely not something that you would see from a indie developer. The size, the scale, just everything they're wanting to do is pretty crazy with No Man's Sky. Very anticipating this game, and it could possibly be my most anticipated. The rest of the list, it's not in any particular order. Evolve. Very much looking forward to that. Loved the beta. Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2 are some of my favorite games out there. I've put hundreds and hundreds of hours into those games. So yeah, very much looking forward to what Evolve has to offer. Luckily, it is going to be in early 2015, or around, I think it's still set for February. Next one's going to be The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Loved The Witcher 1, loved Witcher 2, and very much looking forward to The Witcher 3. It's definitely a solid RPG, and I can't wait to see what they do with it being like a open world kind of stuff. Visually, the Witcher games are always very beautiful to look at. Though number 1 hasn't aged quite well. Number 2 still quite the looker. Cannot wait to see what they do with number 3. Number 4 is going to be Batman Arkham Knight. I thoroughly enjoyed Arkham Asylum. Arkham City is one of the best games of this generation. Arkham Origins, not developed by Rocksteady, but still a quality game in my opinion. The internet kind of hated upon it, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I never beat it, though I did beat Arkham City. I never did beat Origins. I just kind of lost a little bit of interest, but I'm hoping that the next one, being developed by Rocksteady, being developed for the new consoles, therefore maybe not as held back in terms of the scale and detail that they can pack into the city with fewer RAM limitations. Doing the stuff that they're going to be doing with the Batmobile is pretty darn cool. So, and of course the story. They did a bang-up job with Arkham Asylum and City, so I can't wait to see what they come out with for Arkham Knight. Number 5 is going to be Star Wars Battlefront. I loved Battlefront. I loved Battlefront 2. I even had Battlefront on the PlayStation Portable. Yeah, that existed, and I did have a PlayStation Portable. Yeah, love the series. It's never been more important to me or favored by me than the Battlefield series. Battlefield came out first. I think it does pretty much everything better, but Battlefront still offers things that Battlefield doesn't offer, and it puts a very cool spin on things. So it'll be very interesting to see what DICE do with this. I don't think it's just going to be Battlefield in space with lasers. I highly doubt it's going to be that. I hope it is not that. I hope it's more than that. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they handle lightsaber mechanics and things like that, since that's not exactly their specialty. Next one is going to be The Legend of Zelda Wii U. I love the Legend of Zelda series, though lately it's been not my favorite. I didn't really care too much for Wind Waker, not just because of the art style. I didn't care for Twilight Princess all that much, and I think I only put like 20 minutes into Skyward Sword and just gave up. I don't know what happened with that, but yeah, I loved Ocarina of Time, like pretty much everybody in every organization, magazine, review site, and stuff. But Link to the Past on the Super Nintendo is my favorite Legend of Zelda game, and one of my favorite games of all time. And I just really love Zelda, so it'll be interesting to see what they do. The art style on this one looks interesting, but it'll be cool to see how they go with the gameplay design of it being an open world. Even though most Zeldas are already open, it'll be interesting. Can't wait to see more of that. We haven't really seen too much. Next, number 8 is going to be Tom Clancy's The Division. Now, I'm very hesitant about this one because Ubisoft has been screwing up a lot lately. It is a MMO. I hope it doesn't, end up how Destiny ended up, where enemies and boss fights, you just end up being shoot this guy for 45 minutes, roll the dice, you might get something good. Hopefully it's not like that. And I'm hoping they don't push too much of this tablet involvement and whatnot with people. I hope that doesn't become too much of a I don't want it to poop on my parade, and have to rely upon people that do that and things like that. Kind of like how Commander Mode ended up being for Battlefield 4. I hope that doesn't happen, but yeah, hopefully Ubisoft does not screw that up, especially on the PC version. I don't want capped frame rates, and they better offer UI customization and FOV customization. If it's just bare bones, then that's really going to suck. Because what they've shown, the potential that it has, is definitely very, very, very high up on that list. Next thing, number 9, is going to be Dying Light. I enjoyed the Dead Island series so far. Well, 1 was really, really good. I enjoyed that. Riptide was... I put a few hours into it, but never finished. I love Mirror's Edge. So the thought of those things, being combined and going for kind of a more gritty look than how Dead Island was. I didn't really care too much for the people in that, the characters and whatnot. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Dying Light pans out. And with co-op and things like that, rocking that out with some of the TG guys, definitely going to be a blast. Man, I actually left this off my list. Killing Floor 2. I got to tag that in there as well, as a co-op game that just, I love the original Killing Floor. It's, just different enough from Left 4 Dead. And again, that's going to piss off a lot of Killing Floor purists that I compare the game to Left 4 Dead. But yeah, I love Killing Floor, and I'm very excited. A lot of the stuff that they've shown with the technology, the visuals, the weapon design, gameplay design, the new monsters, everything just looks great and sounds great, and I'm very much anticipating that. So I guess that would be number 10, but that throws off my little numbers on my chart here. But whatever. So number 11, GTA 5, the PC version. I know that game came out a very long time ago, and then on consoles, newer consoles, again, somewhat time ago. But the PC version is releasing in 2015, and I just cannot wait for that with the first-person perspective. Hopefully it is a fantastic port. They got the heists coming out, so hopefully that, and that's in January, so that's just going to be starting the year off on a very high note. So cannot wait for that. I've been avoiding spoilers like crazy. So yeah, that cannot wait. Next one, number 12, Just Cause 3. I don't know if this is coming out in 2015, but I'm pretty sure what I've heard is that it is. I don't know. I probably should have put this closer to the end of my list for other games that I don't know that are coming out in 2015. But Just Cause 1 was not really that great. Just Cause 2, one of my favorite games of all time. I love that game. It still visually holds up. Gameplay is just amazing. The scale, the content, everything about Just Cause 2 is just fantastic. So I cannot wait to see what happens with Just Cause 3. Next one, Star Fox for the Wii U. This is, I haven't really played a Star Fox game since the N64 version. I loved the one that was on the Super Nintendo. It blew my mind and you know, really showed what consoles at that time could do, with that extra little graphics chip going on. The N64 version was awesome. Loved it. Very much a part of my childhood, and haven't really done anything yet. I know something came out for it on the GameCube, but I barely even played it, so it's interesting to see what they'll be doing with that, especially with the controller that they have. I feel like that style of game could really draw gameplay things from having that monitor, that second screen that you hold. So yeah, that'll be interesting. Next one, number 14, Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain. I just recently started to play the Metal Gear 5 Ground Zeroes. There, almost forgot it for a second. And and it's really awesome. Visually, it's amazing. I mean, cinematography, or whatever you want to call it, just the visual, the way everything is done and the way everything is paced. The gameplay itself is all very solid. I've never been the biggest Metal Gear fan, but with these actually hitting on the PC, I can actually aim with a mouse and things like that, so very much anticipating that. Can't wait. Next one, number 15, Uncharted 4. I love the Uncharted franchise. 3 kind of lost me a little bit, though number 2 is one of the best games of this generation, I guess. Yeah, number 3, still fantastic, but it's kind of wearing on me. I don't know. Hopefully Uncharted 4 can, you know, spice things up in the bed again and, you know, draw me back in, because I do love the Uncharted series. I love the characters. I love Naughty Dog with all that they've done. The gameplay is solid. It's definitely one of the very few console games that I can just pour that much time into before I start to dislike, you know, having to be limited to the gamepad to aim. I don't like analog sticks to aim. One of the reasons why I like Killzone, because they're very short campaigns. I don't get burnt out on things like that. So hopefully, you know, they'll deliver with the visuals. Hopefully it'll be 60 frames per second. And, you know, they reinvigorate my love for that series. Next one, number 16, very simple one. Saints Row, Gat Out of Hell. Love the latest Saints Row 3 and 4. I know not a lot of people share that sentiment. I personally love what they were doing. I love that style of satire, and I love the gameplay. It's just incredibly fun to play nowadays with all the crazy stuff that they've been doing. It's just very fun, fast-paced, lots of content, lots of stuff to do, and I love the humor. So that game at $20, it's a $20 game. It looks to be very cool going into hell or whatever, however that's going to be handled. So that looks pretty good. Number 17, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. I'm very hesitant about this one. I don't know how much it might pull a Titanfall for me, where it's just amazing from the get-go, but the way in which you breach, you know, they've got to make sure that that stuff really truly is player-driven. You know, if you just end up breaching the same wall over and over, and you just end up breaching the same floor or ceiling every time, every situation, always, you know, people do the same thing because it's just the best thing to do. Just like Titanfall, you know, it was too consistent in how every round played out. So I'm really hoping that this does not suffer that same fate for me. Again, you know, it's gonna be a great game. You know, the gameplay is going to be amazing. The visuals are going to be amazing. All that same stuff like Titanfall had. But if every round kind of ends up being the same, even though it's the same awesome, amazing things, it's still the same. And so I hope that doesn't happen. I hope I don't get burnt out on that. So hopefully that does pull through and is amazing. Next one, Project Cars. This is kind of getting it into my list for kind of the indie kind of games. Again, Project Cars, similar to No Man's Sky, it's like hard to classify. Are they really an indie group? They're no EA, they're no Activision, you know, things like that. But I'm sure there's a lot of developers at this studio. This game is very high budget game, been in development for a very long time. So it's like, is it indie? I guess maybe. Who knows? I don't. Whatever. I'm anticipating it. I'm not the biggest like hardcore, very sim racer. but this game just looks so good. The amount of stuff that they're packing into it just looks so crazy that it's hard not to just be anticipating it to see what they will do with it. I'll probably pick it up and put 5-10 hours into it at most. Who knows? It might actually draw me in, and I might put more into it. But it's just interesting to see what they're going to be doing with this. Just because of how much they are doing for a racing game. Next one is going to be Torment Tides of Numenera, I believe is how it is pronounced. Now, if you guys have been following me for a very long time, you've probably heard these things dropped every now and then, especially last year when I did my top 10 games of that year of 2013. I probably mentioned this at one point, but Planescape Torment, up until the release of BioShock Infinite, Planescape Torment, way back in 1999, was my favorite game of all time. From 1999 till 2013, when BioShock Infinite came out, that became my new favorite game of all time. Not saying it's the best game of all time, just my favorite game of all time. And this is kind of like the spiritual successor. Well, it pretty much is the sequel. I mean, it's got Torment in the name, so it's not really spiritual successor in the way that BioShock 1 was a spiritual successor to System Shock and System Shock 2. So, yeah, that, we don't know very much. We just know that it got kickstarted way beyond what they were asking for. I think they were asking for only like 6 or 900,000, and they ended up getting like 4 million, something like that. Something crazy. So hopefully that delivers and is exactly what I want it to be as a sort of sequel to Planescape Torment. My goodness, am I anticipating that one. Next is going to be SOMA, capital S-O-M-A, and this is from the guys that made the Penumbra series, and then they went on to make the Amnesia series. So, it's going to be a first-person horror game for the most part. At first we thought it was like outer space kind of deal, but in some of the latest stuff that we've seen from them, it looks like you're actually in a facility underwater. I'm not really sure exactly what's going on with this one. Yeah, we haven't seen very much, but given what the 2 series that these guys have made recently, I'm very much anticipating this, especially when the Oculus Rift comes out. I cannot wait to just crap my pants from just being scared. Next one is another horror game, Routine, and this one we know even less about. I don't even know much about the developers. I think it's like Lunar Studios or something like that. I don't think, I'm sure the guys have made other things, but them as a studio, I think this might be their first title. It is a horror game in space, kind of like Alien Isolation, but this actually was shown way before Alien Isolation was shown, but Alien Isolation came out much sooner. But yeah, that one looks to be going for that very retro VCR kind of CRT monitors, that kind of feel, somewhat similar to how Alien Isolation did in space. It's very cool, the dichotomy of being in space, this futuristic thing, where you have all this advanced tech, but we're using CRT monitors and, crappy tech. Very weird dichotomy there, and but the game itself, from the trailers that we've seen so far, it just looks very freaky. Visually, it looks amazing. The atmosphere, the mood, everything looks great. Next one is going to be Firewatch, another indie game that we know somewhat very little about. We've seen, I think, one gameplay demonstration they've done, but it looks cool. I don't know if there's gonna be like a thriller side to it. It's hard to tell right now, but you're like a guy in is it in Canada or is it in Alaska? It's not Alaska. There's no snow. But you're out in the woods, and you're a person who, they look out for fires. They're kind of like a ranger. If there are people camping in the areas, they go to their camps, make sure they're, putting the fires out, and you keep an eye out for smoke to try to find, if there's a lightning strike or something like that you have in the night. But that's the kind of person you are, and you're in this open, beautiful area, and it just looks like it's going to be maybe psychological horror. I don't really know. It's hard to tell, but from what I've seen, it definitely has my interest piqued, and that's why this is my most anticipated list. I'm very anticipating what comes about from this. So yeah. Next one, Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. This one is probably the one I know the very least about. I think I've seen some screenshots. I don't even think I've seen a video, but the concept is very cool. Not really going to go into that one too much, guys. Just if you want, go Google it or search for some stuff if there's some content out there on YouTube. Again, it's Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. Nothing to do with Rapture and BioShock. That would be cool. But it's a very cool idea, and it just, my interest is piqued quite a bit. Next one, The Witness. This is from the guy that made Braid, a puzzle game that is one of my favorite puzzle games of all time. You know, even more so probably than Portal and Portal 2. My mind was blown by the quality of Braid. Yeah, it's a fantastic game. What we've seen so far, I hope it is on PC. I really do hope it's on PC because it is a first-person perspective game. I'm pretty sure that it has been confirmed to be on PC, but Sony is kind of doing the same thing they've been doing with No Man's Sky. They're really pushing and paying for a lot, I think, with him. Every time he's at a E3 show, it's always for, you know, a Sony presentation and things like that, and they're always showing it on the PS4. Either way, I will be getting it. I just do really hope that it is on PC because it is first-person perspective. I really want to have that mouse support. Well, granted, I've got a Zim 4, but I want native, you know, I want all that stuff. I want to be able to adjust my field of view, and I want for mods to exist and things like that for puzzle games. Mods in puzzle games are amazing because the community can always create so many puzzles that the original developer just couldn't even comprehend when they were making this game and making the engine and all that stuff. So very much anticipating that. Next one is The Long Dark. Now this is actually a game that is currently available on Steam in like early access, but it's kind of one of those out in the woods survival games that a lot of people are copying, but it doesn't seem like it has the whole horror aspect of it. Like, you know, the forest is really great, and you can turn that horror aspect off. But then, you know, everybody's trying to come out and copy what Minecraft and, you know, DayZ, Rust, what's that one? H1Z1, which is pretty much the console version of DayZ, even though that got announced for console. All sorts of stuff going on. But everybody wants to, they're all trying to capitalize on that. Out in the woods, building and crafting and destroying and trees and rocks and building. They all want to capitalize on that, but this one's got a very wintry aspect to it, to the survival. It looks like it's going to be pretty darn cool. From a visual aesthetic, the game is beautiful. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens to that when it does officially actually release. Even if I buy it, I'm not going to try it until it is fully completed. That's just kind of going to be how I handle that. So The Long Dark, very, very anticipating that. These next 4 would have been included if it was Just Cause 3. But yeah, these 3, I don't know if they're going to make it to 2015. Well, the first one is Rise of the Tomb Raider, and actually that should be out next year. But is it an Xbox exclusive? It's hard to tell from the. If it's not out on PC, I'm not going to bother. I'm going to hold out on getting that for the PC. The Tomb Raider reboot was a fantastic game last year. Made it onto my top 10 list. It was an amazing game, and you know, it was an incredible port. The PC version was just, it ran like butter. You could max that baby out on so many different systems. It just ran so well. So, you know, getting to play that in 144 hertz, you know, 144 frames per second on a 1440p monitor, using my mouse to aim because it's third person. It's not a shooter, but it's a lot of shooting bows and weaponry and whatnot. I mean, that's just going to be too awesome. And so yeah, very, very anticipating that. But again, I'll hold out for the PC version. If there is no PC version, then I guess I do eventually have to get an Xbox One, which I plan to at some point anyways. I've owned every console game, or every console in years past, so right now the Xbox One is the only one I haven't purchased in the last, like, since 1995, I think. So, yeah, anticipating it, but hopefully wanting to hold out for the PC release. So yeah, Cyberpunk 2077 is the next thing that I'm very much anticipating. I hope this comes out next year. I don't want them to rush it. This is from the same people that are making The Witcher 3. And all we've seen so far is a cinematic trailer, but it's just, you know, with what they've done with The Witcher, the idea of an RPG set in like this steampunk, possibly futuristic, very Blade Runner-esque kind of world. Very cool. I loved Hard Reset. That was an amazing shooter. Check it out if you can. So, you know, seeing that, but with the people that made Witcher as an RPG, maybe first person, it has the potential to be amazing, but I don't know if that's going to make it in 2015, because all we've seen is that cinematic trailer, and they've got The Witcher 3 that they've been working on, which is, I'm sure, taking a good chunk of their time. So we might not see that till 2016. Same thing with the next one. Star Citizen, I think, is scheduled to come out in 2016. I know they've got some modules that they'll be releasing in 2015. Hopefully the first-person one, and we can get some more footage and get a better idea of how the first-person combat will be handled. Well, it's all first-person, but the infantry, firearms, FPS kind of gameplay, rather than the first-person piloting aspect that the game will mostly be. But it'll be interesting. Star Citizen, I mean, that any PC gamer, that has to be in their list, simply because of what that's going to be like the Crysis. You know, Crysis came out in 2007, and it just sets so many high standards for visuals, physics, scale, and all sorts of things. And the gameplay was also incredibly good. It did things with that nanosuit, being able to switch between all these different modes. It did some things that no game had ever done before. So, you know, Star Citizen being able to be doing some first-person infantry combat on the ground, literally walking into, not just hitting E to instantly snap into a vehicle, but hit E, but actually walking into a ship that's controlled by your buddies, hopping down onto the guns, and them taking up out of the atmosphere and just flying around, having some outer space combat and whatnot, and doing that, and then, you know, taking out the drives, the thrusters on a ship, on a big massive ship, and then, you know, having to go board it and taking it out from the insides, because you don't want to just blow it up. You want to salvage things, and going back into that first person combat and sending that crew to go take out the zero gravity removal, the simulated gravity drive or whatever, and every, you know, all the cover and everything. Now everything's in zero gravity, and there's just so much cool stuff that's going to be going on in that, and it's all very rooted in reality, very authentic feel. You can lose your limbs, you can get shot in the arms and have them be damaged, but you can repair them, but then they can bleed out too much and you can lose them, and therefore your accuracy sucks because you're having to fire weapons with just one hand, and you can have the same thing with your feet. You can lose individual legs and limbs and stuff. I mean, it's very, very crazy what they're trying to do. It's like No Man's Sky. It's on that level of scale of, you know, being on planets, taking off out of planets. No Man's Sky, though, I don't know if that's going to be as combat-centric as Star Citizen, but, yeah. So you guys have it. To recap, I'll just paste all these into the video description down below if you want to, you know, just copy and paste them and to search for YouTube footage or Google them or whatever. A lot of these I'm sure you have never heard of, especially the indie games. So, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed this list. If these are some similar titles that you are anticipating, then please do share. If there's some that you are anticipating that I didn't include on here that you think I might be interested in, then please do share that as well. And hopefully 2015 is as good, if not much better, than we had for 2014. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Merry Christmas to all of you who celebrate that. Happy holidays to you who do not. And yeah, soon, Happy New Year. So yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed all of it. Have a good one. Ta-ta.